Hi, I'm Wayne Faree, professional stone carver, and I've got a little lettering project. This is going to be a date stone that's going to go in a building just like that. And it's going to be surrounded by brick. And we're going to put it into this slab of stone, which is 18 inches by 18 inches by 4 inches. So it's going to be pretty perfect for sitting in brick. It's about the same thickness. So I'm going to go into the studio now, and we're going to make a stencil for this. I'm going to transfer it on our block of stone here and get approval from the client, and then we're going to cut it. We're going to V-cut it with a hammer and chisel. We got this drawing from the client, and it's nice to get a design from the client, especially if it's good design. And this is what I consider to be good design. And I had the drawing blown up to proportional size. It's going to be 18 inches from out to out. I want to have at least a 1-inch border between the edge of the stone and where the lettering starts. So I need 17 by 17. So what we're going to do is we're going to make an 18-inch square on this tracing paper. We're going to make a 17-inch square on the inside, put our drawing underneath it, clean up the design a little bit, and make sure that it fits good within the space required. What I have here is Strathmore tracing paper. And it's really an excellent product. I had to go to a couple of different places to actually find this. And I found it at Marquee Art and Frame in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Now it's just a matter of transferring our drawing onto our transfer paper, which is transparent. And then this will go on the stone, and we'll copy this onto the stone by pressing on the lines we're drawing right now and having carbon paper underneath to imprint the design on our stone. Then we're ready to start carving our stone. And this will be placed right on the stone. We'll put carbon paper underneath of it and retrace it onto the stone, and then we'll adjust it if we have to, according to how it looks on the stone. Now that we've got our transfer paper copied from the print, we'll simply have taped it onto the stone, and then we'll simply put some carbon paper underneath it. And I'm just going to go over this by hand because I kind of like the idea that things maybe just aren't quite perfect. And we may even change this design a little bit depending upon how it looks once we get it on there. Chances are we're going to lose our place. And if that happens, you just lift up the paper to see where we're at. That's why I've only got it taped on 2 edges, so that I can lift it up and see where I'm at. When you're doing something like this, it's good to use a soft pencil. I've got an HB. A 2H would work. HB is right between hard and soft. The pencils you use in school were usually 2H, which means it's too hard. Number 2 hard. If there's an H behind the number, that means it's hard. If there's a B, it means it's soft. So now we'll take a look at it, make sure it's what we want, and I'll darken the lines, and I'll get a hold of my customer and see if if this is going to be acceptable before I actually start cutting it. You want to know that we're going to be good there. I'm darkening the letters that I got off my stencil, and for that I'm using a 9H. That's a harder pencil. That's a 9 going all the way up to 10. I think they go up to 10. 9 is about the hardest you can get. You need to use a hard pencil when you're working on stone so that it doesn't wear down your pencil as fast, and it'll hold onto the stone. So, and then I'm also using a piece of transfer paper to rest my hand on so it doesn't smudge up the pencil marks and make things blurry. This E is really squished into the corner. I don't really like that. So I'm going to erase this and move the whole thing over closer to the B. What I've got is a piece of wood that's cut in a half moon shape, and it's got some sandpaper stapled onto it. It just acts like an eraser. I moved the L closer to the B, and then I was able to bring the E closer to the L and open up this area a little bit, and it reads much better now. I'm ready to start cutting the letters on this project, and I'm just going to be using a handful of tools. We've got a very small tipped flat chisel. It's got a bit of an arc on it. It's about 3/16 of an inch wide. We've got a flat 1/4 inch tool. We've got a 3/8 inch flat tool and a 5/8 inch flat tool. And then we've got a couple of sharply pointed tools for getting in close in the corners. Now this is kind of illustrating a V-shaped or a V-cut letter. It's basically just a V. It's just a V, and it's usually cut about anywhere from 1/2 to 2/3 deep as it is wide. And you'll see this, you'll understand this as I'm going through the process of V-cutting the letters on this project. As you can see, everything comes into that V shape. So any line that you come to is going to go to a V. And even the edge, even the corners here, come into that V shape. And that's where this sharp tool, I can get into these corners, and it almost has a V shape to it, as you can see. So that makes it easy to get in there and square those corners out. And then when the job is is all cut, I'll come in and I'll scrape out everything by hand and make it look nice and crisp and sharp. And then when you scrape it clean, it makes it darker and easier to read. So we're going to go ahead and do all these letters and clean it up, and you'll see the V shape in all of these letters. Now we have this O shape. And we want to make our V shape. It's going to come right down the middle of that. So here's our V. And if you've ever seen a lumberjack, or maybe your father, your uncle, maybe you, chopped a tree with an axe, and you make a little cut, a little cut, a bigger cut, a bigger cut, a bigger cut, a bigger cut, until you're right at where you want to be. It's the same thing with this stone cutting. So I'm going to run my chisel that way and that way, make a smaller V. Then I'm going to keep going out towards my line, just like this, until I get to the line and I have a V-cut letter. Now another thing I want to mention is, like, here is my chisel. And I have a 1-inch blade that I know when the tip of this gets here and the tip of this gets to the bottom of the V, then I'm right where I need to be. But that usually doesn't work out. So wherever your line is on the chisel here, it doesn't matter as long as you don't go outside the line and make it bigger than you had intended.